What if I told you that somewhere in your house, inside an old wallet, a dusty jar, or a forgotten box of childhood savings, you might be hiding a tiny treasure worth more than gold? A coin so simple, so ordinary that millions of people handled it every day. Yet only a handful of rare survivors are now selling for thousands to even life-changing amounts of money. This is the untold story of the Canadian maple leaf penny, one of the most iconic symbols of Canada's history. For more than 150 years, the humble penny was part of everyday life. It bought candies, newspapers, milk, and memories. It passed through the hands of children, workers, explorers, and immigrants. And over time, it silently witnessed Canada's transformation from its early colonial roots to its growth as a nation, to its rise as a global symbol of peace and prosperity. The journey began in 1858, when the very first Canadian 1-cent coin was struck. Back then, the penny was made of bronze and carried the portrait of Queen Victoria, reflecting the deep ties to the British Empire. But as the decades passed, Canada's identity evolved, and so did the penny. The most beloved design of all became the two maple leaves on a twig, simple, elegant, and deeply Canadian. This symbol represented unity, resilience, and natural beauty. It captured the heart of the country and remained a national icon for generations. But here's the secret most people don't know. Among the millions of maple leaf pennies minted, a few were produced with mistakes, low mintages, and unique variations, tiny imperfections that today make them unbelievably valuable. These rare pennies have become legends in the coin world. Some are guarded in private collections. Some shocked the world when they appeared in auctions, and some might still be hiding in ordinary homes waiting to be discovered. With Canada officially stopping penny production in 2012, the value of rare maple leaf cents has skyrocketed. Now collectors are desperately searching for these hidden treasures, and even a single rare penny can change everything for the lucky finder. So in this video, we uncover the mysteries, the history, and the unbelievable values of the most valuable Canadian maple leaf pennies ever minted. Get ready for a journey through time, rarity, and the secrets of coins that can turn a simple copper piece into a fortune. Your life-changing treasure hunt begins now. First coin, the ultra-rare 1936 dot. Maple leaf penny, one of the most valuable Canadian coins in history. The journey into the world of life-changing Canadian maple leaf pennies begins with a coin that stands above all others in rarity, mystery, and value, the legendary 1936 dot penny. This is not just a coin. It is a historical artifact, a royal mystery, and a numismatic treasure so rare that only 3 confirmed examples are known to exist anywhere in the world. For collectors, the mere mention of the 1936 dot penny brings excitement, respect, and awe because this tiny copper piece has become one of the greatest symbols of Canadian coin history. It's a coin that has repeatedly shattered auction records, selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, with expert predictions that future sales could break the $1 million mark if one ever reappears in a pristine grade. To understand why this coin is so special, we must go back to the dramatic year of 1936, a year filled with royal tension and uncertainty. King George V, who had ruled for more than 25 years, passed away early in the year. Normally, this would simply mean the next monarch's portrait would replace his on all coins. But this was no ordinary time. After George V's death, Canada was preparing to place the portrait of his son, King Edward VIII, on the nation's coinage. However, history took an unexpected turn when Edward VIII shocked the world by abdicating the throne to marry Wallis Simpson. His sudden decision created a constitutional crisis, leaving Canada and the Royal Canadian Mint in complete uncertainty. New dies could not be prepared in time. The government still needed circulating coins, and production could not be halted. So the Mint took a temporary emergency measure. They decided to continue using the dies of King George V for one more year, but with a small modification to show that the coins were actually struck in 1937, not 1936. This tiny modification was the addition of a small dot, placed directly below the year 1936 on the reverse of the coin, right under the iconic 2 maple leaves. This tiny dot, barely visible to the naked eye, was meant to distinguish these emergency strikes from the standard 1936 issues. It was supposed to be a simple solution, but it accidentally created one of the most extraordinary rarities in Canadian history. What makes the 1936 dot penny even more mysterious is its extremely limited mintage. Even though the plan was to produce enough to keep the economy running, almost all of the coins were believed to have been withheld, melted down or destroyed once King George II became the new monarch. For reasons still debated by historians, the 1936 pennies never entered regular circulation. Instead, almost the entire mintage vanished from history. Today, only 3 authenticated pieces are known to survive, each one locked away in world-class collections, protected in high-security vaults, and valued as national treasures. When these coins appear at auction, they immediately become the center of global attention. Wealthy collectors, investors, and museums all compete fiercely, driving the prices to unbelievable heights. In the past, a single 1936 penny has sold for over $400,000. And depending on grade and collector demand, experts believe that a future sale could easily climb past $1 million. In fact, many collectors consider it the holy grail of Canadian coinage, the kind of coin that only appears once in a generation, and only in the most elite auctions. Beyond its financial value, the 1936 penny carries a deep emotional and historical appeal. It represents a royal crisis, a moment of national uncertainty, and a unique decision that shaped Canadian numismatic history. The coin also features the beloved maple leaf design, making it a true symbol of Canada. Imagine holding a simple copper penny that carries the weight of royal drama, political change, and an entire nation's identity. This is what makes this coin so fascinating. For ordinary people, the dream of finding a 1936 penny may seem impossible, but stories in the coin world have taught us one important truth. Coins can appear in the most unexpected places. Some of the rarest coins in history were found in old drawers, family collections, inherited boxes, or even forgotten jars mixed with common change. And that is what makes this coin so special. Its legend continues to inspire treasure hunters across the world, because if someone ever discovers another example hiding somewhere, it could instantly become a life-changing moment, turning an ordinary person into a millionaire overnight. The 1936 maple leaf penny is not just rare, it is a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece, a cornerstone of Canadian history, and the most valuable maple leaf penny ever created. Second coin, the 1925 maple leaf penny, a scarce low-mintage treasure worth big money. After the legendary 1936 penny, the next maple leaf design coin that shocks collectors with its rarity and value is the incredible 1925 Canadian 1 cent, a coin that looks completely ordinary to the untrained eye, yet hides one of the lowest mintages in the entire maple leaf penny series. This coin has become a dream find for collectors because even though millions of Canadians once used it in daily life, only a very small number of high-grade examples survived. And today, the 1925 penny can sell for hundreds, even thousands of dollars depending on condition. To understand why this coin is so valuable, we must go back nearly a century to the mid-1920s. Canada was recovering from the aftershocks of World War I. The economy was unstable, industries were struggling, and coin demand dropped sharply. Because of this, the Royal Canadian Mint drastically reduced production of the 1 cent coin in 1925. While other years saw mintages in the tens of millions, the 1925 penny had an extremely small mintage, just 1,652 coins. That might sound like a lot, but in coin collecting terms, it is almost nothing compared to other dates in the same series. But the rarity gets even more intense. Beyond the low mintage, most of these pennies were heavily circulated. They were used by workers, farmers, shopkeepers, and families across Canada at a time when the penny had real buying power. People spent them daily, carried them in rough leather pouches, and handed them down in change across counters and markets. By the time collectors realized how scarce this coin was, most examples were already worn out, damaged, or lost forever. Finding a 1925 penny in clean, sharp, collectible condition became almost impossible. This is what transforms an ordinary copper coin into a treasure. A heavily circulated example may still bring $50 to $100, but the real magic appears in high-grade coins. Even a lightly circulated 1925 penny can sell for $500, $800 or more. But when an exceptional example is found, sharp details, strong luster, minimal wear, prices explode. High-grade certified pieces have sold for over $5,000, and in top mint state condition they can reach $10,000 or more, depending on demand and auction competition. For a simple maple leaf penny, these values are astonishing. Collectors love this coin not only for its rarity, but also for its design, the classic 2 maple leaves on a twig, bold, crisp, and beautifully balanced. The reverse of this coin is one of the most iconic designs in Canadian numismatics. Combined with the portrait of King George V on the obverse, the 1925 penny remains a powerful symbol of Canadian history during a period of economic struggle and national transition. But what makes this coin truly exciting is the possibility that someone today, maybe even someone watching your video, could still find one. Many Canadian families still have jars of old pennies tucked away in drawers, cupboards, and storage boxes. Some inherited collections have never been searched, and because the 1925 penny looks almost identical to regular maple leaf pennies, it can easily be hiding in plain sight. This is why collectors call it a sleeper treasure, a rare coin that the average person could accidentally discover at any moment. Imagine the thrill of checking an old box of coins and pulling out a 1925 penny worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That's the magic of this coin. It creates hope, curiosity, and excitement among collectors and beginners alike. It reminds us that incredible treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places, waiting for the right eyes to recognize them. The 1925 maple leaf penny is a perfect example of how rarity, history, and condition combine to create a coin with real financial power. It is not as famous as the 1936 dot, but for collectors of Canadian coinage, it is one of the key dates, a must-have, a challenge to find, and a coin whose value continues to grow year after year. Third coin, the 1923 maple leaf penny, a classic low-mintage rarity with shocking value. The next powerful and highly valuable maple leaf design penny takes us back to another challenging chapter in Canadian history. The 1923 Canadian 1 cent, one of the rarest early 20th century coins and a legendary key date for collectors. While the 1936 dot penny is famous for its royal crisis, and the 1925 penny is known for its incredibly small survival rate, the 1923 penny is celebrated for being one of the lowest mintage coins ever, produced in the maple leaf series. It is a coin that millions once touched and used in everyday transactions. Yet today, high-grade examples are so scarce that they sell for truly shocking amounts of money. To understand why the 1923 penny is such a major rarity, we must look at the economic conditions of post-World War I Canada. The country was struggling with inflation, unemployment, and inconsistent demand for small denomination coins. Factories were closing, businesses were unstable, and the need for new pennies dropped dramatically. The Royal Canadian Mint, operating with limited resources and cautious financial planning, reduced the production of 1 cent coins to an extremely low level. As a result, the 1923 penny saw a mintage of just 1,019 coins, one of the smallest numbers in the entire series. This mintage may look similar to the 1925 penny, but what makes the 1923 issue uniquely special is the astonishing rarity of high-grade surviving examples. Because pennies were used heavily at that time, the vast majority of 1923 coins ended up with significant wear. They were circulated for decades, scraped against other coins, carried in pockets, and exposed to the rough daily life of early 20th century Canada. As years passed, mint state examples disappeared almost completely. By the time collectors realized the importance of the 1923 penny, most of the best examples were already gone. That is why this coin is now considered one of the top key dates in the entire Canadian small cent series. Even moderately worn pieces are valuable. A circulated 1923 penny can sell for $50 to $150, depending on its grade. But the true value appears when the condition rises. A lightly circulated example may bring $300 to $500, and a well-preserved piece with sharp maple leaves and clear details can rise to $1,000 or more. But the real shock comes in higher mint state grades. Certified uncirculated examples have sold for $10,000 to $20,000, and the finest known specimens have reached over $40,000 at major auctions. This surprising value comes from simple math. Very few of these coins exist in top condition, and the demand from collectors is extremely high. The design of the 1923 penny adds to its beauty and importance. The reverse proudly displays the classic maple leaf design, 2 detailed maple leaves, connected by a twig, representing Canada's natural heritage, growth, and unity. The obverse features the portrait of King George V, symbolizing the era's political stability despite the economic hardships. Together, the design and history make this coin one of the most iconic Canadian copper cents ever minted. What makes the 1923 penny especially exciting for collectors and ordinary people alike is that it can still appear in unexpected places. Many Families still have old jars filled with maple leaf pennies collected over decades. Some inherited boxes or containers of old coins have never been properly checked, because the 1923 penny looks almost identical to other maple leaf cents. Most people overlook it without realizing its hidden value. This means someone, somewhere, may still have a tiny fortune hiding in their home without knowing it. This coin represents the thrill of coin collecting, the possibility that a rare and valuable treasure could be discovered completely by accident. The 1923 penny teaches us that history, rarity, and survival all combine to turn an ordinary copper coin into a precious, collectible worth big money. It is a symbol of Canada's struggle, resilience, and heritage, and a reminder that even the smallest coins can hold the biggest surprises. Fourth coin, the 1937 maple leaf penny, a transitional rarity from a historic change in Canada's coinage, the next valuable and deeply historic maple leaf design penny. On our list is the 1937 Canadian 1 cent, a coin that stands right at the crossroads of one of the most important transitions in Canadian numismatic history. While not as instantly famous as the 1936 dot penny, the 1937 maple leaf cent carries a powerful story of royal change, emergency minting decisions, short production periods, and collectible varieties that make it a sought-after treasure for anyone searching through old coin jars or inherited collections. The story of the 1937 penny begins with the dramatic shakeup that took place in the British Empire just 1 year earlier. In 1936, King George V passed away, and the throne went to his son, King Edward VIII. But Edward's rule was unconventional and brief. His romantic relationship with Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee, created a constitutional crisis. Unable to keep both the crown and his marriage, Edward VIII abdicated the throne after less than a year. His brother George VI then became king, marking one of the fastest and most unexpected transitions of monarchs in modern British and Canadian history. This political turmoil caused enormous complications for mints across the Commonwealth. New portrait dies were required, coin designs needed updating, and production schedules were thrown into chaos. Coinage featuring Edward VIII had barely begun, and with his abdication, it had to be halted immediately. Canada suddenly needed coins for daily commerce but had no finalized portrait for its new king, George VI. This unexpected situation forced the Royal Canadian Mint to continue using the earlier George V portrait temporarily while preparing new designs. That is where the 1937 penny becomes important. While the famous 1936 dot penny is the emergency stopgap coin, the 1937 penny represents the transition into the first official year of coins bearing the portrait of King George VI. Before 1937, Canadians had only seen George V on their 1 cent pieces for more than 25 years. The introduction of George VI brought a fresh artistic style, new lettering, and a new chapter in Canada's identity. And the 1937 penny marks that exact turning point. Even though the mintage of the 1937 penny was not extremely low by number, what makes it collectible and valuable is the combination of transitional history, design change, and the scarcity of high-grade preserved examples. Many 1937 cents circulated heavily for decades, losing their shine, developing scratches, dents, and corrosion. Today, finding this coin in truly original condition, especially with strong detail and full mint luster, is far more difficult than people expect. A well-worn 1937 penny may sell for a few dollars, but high-grade examples begin to show real value. Lightly circulated pieces can bring $20 to $50, and attractive, well-preserved coins often sell for $80 to $150. Real money appears in uncirculated, certified mint state examples. A bright red uncirculated 1937 penny can sell for $300 to $700, and exceptionally sharp specimens with brilliant surfaces can reach $1,000 or even higher, depending on demand and auction competition. Collectors also appreciate this coin for its beautiful maple leaf design. The same classic design used since 1920, the 2 maple leaves on a twig, remain crisp, bold, and symbolic, representing Canada's natural heritage and unity. Combined with the newly introduced portrait of George VI, the 1937 penny has become a symbol of change, marking the moment Canada stepped into a new royal era and a new style of coinage. But perhaps the most exciting part for ordinary people is that this coin can still appear in old collections. Many households in Canada, and even abroad, still hold jars of pre-1960 pennies that have never been properly checked. The 1937 penny looks almost identical to common coins, which means its value can easily go unnoticed by someone who doesn't understand what they are holding. For collectors and treasure hunters, this makes the 1937 penny a fun and realistic find, one that could still be hiding in someone's home without them realizing its worth. The 1937 maple leaf penny is a quiet treasure, not instantly obvious, but historically powerful. It represents the end of one royal chapter and the beginning of another. It carries the legacy of chaos, transition, and renewal, and it reminds collectors that even coins with higher mintages can become rare and valuable over time when they survive in exceptional condition. Fifth coin, the 1947 maple leaf penny, a historic partition coin with rare varieties worth big money. The next powerful and highly collectible maple leaf design penny is the historically significant 1947 maple leaf Canadian 1 cent, a coin born from political change, international upheaval, and an urgent minting decision that created one of the most fascinating varieties in Canadian numismatic history. The 1947 maple leaf penny is not just a coin. It is a symbol of Canada's transition from British Empire dependency into a nation taking its own identity on the global stage. And because of its short production period, rare varieties, and dramatic backstory, this penny is worth big money, especially in high grades. To understand why this coin exists, we need to go back to one of the most important geopolitical events of the 20th century, the independence of India in 1947. At that time, coins across the British Commonwealth, including Canada, carried the Latin inscription Indicaum, short for Indiae Imperator, meaning Emperor of India. This was part of the king's formal title. But when India became an independent nation in August 1947, King George VI was no longer Emperor of India, and the Royal Canadian Mint had a major problem. Canada's dies for 1948 coins were supposed to remove this outdated title, but the new dies were delayed. The Mint couldn't produce new coins with the corrected inscription in time, and the country urgently needed fresh circulation coins. The solution? Continue using the old 1947 dies that still had the outdated inscription, but add a tiny maple leaf symbol next to the date. This maple leaf acted like a signature mark, identifying these coins as temporary emergency. Issues struck in early 1948 using the 1947 design. This is how the 1947 maple leaf penny was born, through necessity, precision, and a fascinating blend of colonial history and Canadian symbolism. And because this variety was produced for only a short period, it became instantly collectible. But what makes this coin even more valuable is the presence of rare varieties, especially the famous blunt 7 and pointed 7 versions. The difference lies in the shape of the numeral 7 in the date. Some 1947 maple leaf pennies have a sharp, pointed 7, while others have a flat-ended, blunt 7. These varieties were caused by differences in die preparation, and today collectors pursue them with deep excitement. The blunt 7 is significantly rarer and highly desirable. In regular worn condition, it already commands premium prices. A circulated blunt 7 penny can sell for $50 to $150, depending on condition. But high-grade certified examples fetch $500, $1,000, and sometimes over $2,000, when the coin shows original mint luster and sharp detail. The more common pointed 7 still holds strong value, especially in higher grades. Circulated examples may sell for $10 to $30, while mint state pieces can bring $200 to $600. Exceptional red uncirculated examples, rare due to the fragility of copper, can surpass $1,000 at major auctions. Collectors across the world value this coin, not only for the varieties but also for its powerful symbolism. The maple leaf placed beside the date is a subtle yet meaningful reminder of a moment when Canada was stepping forward into a new identity, one where its connection to the British monarchy was evolving, and its national image was becoming distinctly Canadian. The coin still proudly displays the classic twin maple leaf design, crisp and balanced, representing strength, unity, and heritage. On the obverse, the portrait of King George VI stands as a link between tradition and progress. Together, these elements make the 1947 maple leaf penny one of the most iconic transitional coins Canada ever produced. This coin can still be found. Many Canadian families still have jars filled with pennies saved before the 1950s. These jars often include 1945, 1946, 1947, and sometimes even 1930s and 1920s cents. The 1947 maple leaf penny looks extremely similar to a normal penny at first glance, which means countless people may have it without realizing its hidden value. Someone watching your video could check their home coins today and find a small treasure worth hundreds of dollars or even more. The 1947 maple leaf penny is a perfect blend of rarity, history, symbolism, and investment potential. It's a reminder that international events can shape even the smallest, everyday objects, and that the coins in our pockets often carry the stories of nations, kings, and historical transformations. As we reach the end of this journey through Canada's most valuable and historic maple leaf pennies, one thing becomes clear. Sometimes the smallest coins carry the biggest stories and the biggest surprises. From emergency mintings to royal transitions, from global political shifts to rare varieties struck in limited numbers, these pennies are far more than copper discs. They are preserved moments of history, tiny treasures that survived decades of circulation, and powerful reminders that value can hide in the most unexpected places. Whether it's the legendary 1936 dot penny worth hundreds of thousands, the ultra-scarce 1923 and 1925 key dates, or the historically important 1947 maple leaf varieties, each of these coins tells a story tied to Canada's identity, struggle, and growth. And the most exciting part is that any one of these rare pieces could still be hidden in an old jar, a forgotten drawer, a family collection, or a box passed down through generations. So before you think treasure hunting is only for professionals, remember, the next big discovery could be found by you. All it takes is curiosity, patience, and the willingness to take a second look at coins we often ignore. Because the truth is, life-changing money doesn't always come in the form of gold or diamonds. Sometimes, it comes in the shape of a humble maple leaf penny waiting to be recognized.